Hey everybody, mel0n here. Welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be taking a look at the VAXEE NP-01s Wireless Edition. Now, personally speaking, I am a huge fan of VAXEE products. The original VAXEE mouse I have from them, the wired OUTSET AX, when I bought, I believe it was late 2019, is the only experience I've had with VAXEE. However, that mouse has just exceeded all of my expectations in terms of performance and how well built it is and how durable it is. I have cable modded, torn that thing apart, tried to PCB swap it, tried to mod the shell. I have done an ungodly amount of things to that mouse, and it is still running. So I have very high expectations for this mouse, and VAXEE seems to have been keeping to their namesake of these very high performance, very well built mice. So I'm really excited to see this mouse today. I'm very grateful to VAXEE, who was kind enough to send me out a review interface. So thank you very, very much to VAXEE. That was extremely generous to them. So thank you so much to them. I really do appreciate that. I know I am a little biased towards VAXEE given my previous experience with them, but I will do my absolute best to remain unbiased when I do my full review of this guy. So today we're going to do an unboxing, kind of go over some basic stuff about the NP-01s, see what we're dealing with here, and then I'll have a full review with a lot more in-depth and including a teardown and that kind of stuff in a couple weeks once I've done all my testing. But today will just be a brief unboxing video, so let's go ahead and get right into it. So this mouse retails for $119.99 USD. It is using the 3395 sensor, and there have been some tweaks that which we'll talk about in a minute. Now, I don't know what the side buttons or the main clicks or the scroll wheel clicks are in the encoder yet. I'm gonna have to wait to do that until I do my full teardown, so stay tuned for that in the full review. But in terms of weight, this mouse is coming in at the much higher 68 to 69 gram range, so just short of 70 gram. Now, this is one thing that people have criticized VAXEE a lot for because their mice are very heavy. However, due to the extra weight, something you are getting for them is insanely good build quality, which has been consistent across all VAXEE mice. How that affects the actual performance compared to other lighter mice with similar shape sizes, we'll have to see. In tradition to all other VAXEE mice, this mouse is completely driverless, so there is no software. Everything is done just on the mouse itself, which personally, I am actually a really big fan of. Most mouse software sucks. I'm looking at you, Razor and SteelSeries. So I'm happy to see a mouse just with no software and just work out of the box is really nice to see. Now, in terms of a colorway availability, it is available in black, white, cyan, pink, orange, and yellow. Now, keep in mind the coating and the grippiness of the coating will change a little bit. The black is the grippiest, and then between the colors, it's pretty much all the same, just a slightly less grippier version of the black version. We've seen this on other mice. It's pretty standard nowadays to find the black coatings to be the best and the white and the color coatings to be slightly worse, but that's pretty standard across what we've seen across the entire market right now. Alrighty, now in terms of the unboxing experience, we have a pretty standard unboxing experience. I will say it is nice to see that VAXEE has gone for a pretty much entirely cardboard packaging, which is nice. The only plastic or foam we see is around the mouse itself and the accessories, which is understandable, but that is nice to see they've gone for mostly cardboard. Now inside the packaging, we have the mouse itself. We have a USB A to C cable with a special attachment towards the USB-C end of the cable. We'll talk about that in a minute. We have a USB-C to A adapter, and we have a USB-A 2.4 gigahertz dongle. Now, one criticism I do have of the packaging is that if you are looking for it and you don't happen to see the tiny little bit of plastic peeking out from the top of this box, you will not know that the adapter and the dongle for this unit is actually in the top part of this box. And the only reason I knew it was there is because I saw part of the plastic sticking out. That's the only reason I knew. If you are someone who doesn't necessarily know and doesn't happen to see the plastic, there's a very good chance you're going to open this box and think that they didn't send you the dongle, and there's nothing in the box that tells you to unfold the top to look for the actual dongle. So that is one area that I definitely think they could improve on. There is this little piece of cardboard on the bottom that has a QR code that you can scan for the manual. I would highly, highly recommend VAXEE puts a little bit of text that says, please unfold packaging to find dongle, or like an arrow pointing up and saying, please unfold packaging to find dongle in top box. Just something to tell people that it's there, because there's nothing that tells you it's in there, and if people don't look closely enough, they probably either think it was missing from the packaging or they're going to throw the box out with the dongle in it and just not know until it's too late. So that would be something I would definitely change from VAXEE side, because I can only imagine how many people they have contacting them on a daily basis on their support team asking where the dongle is because they can't find it in the box. But aside from that though, the packaging is quite good. Again, the only thing I would really change is having some kind of indication that the dongle is stored in the top of the box. Now, the shape is the most interesting part of the NP-01s in my opinion. Now, this is my first experience with a mouse like this. Now, VAXEE had a special term for it on their website for what this shape is. I just don't remember what it is off the top of my head. But in my opinion, this is the first time I've used a sim ergo hybrid. So what I mean by this is that the front of the mouse is symmetrical. The entire mouse is not tilted. It just looks like a sim mouse from the front, but towards the back of the mouse, there are these ergonomic flare outs, very similar to what you saw on the VAXEE OUTSET AX. So basically, this is like a flat VAXEE OUTSET AX kind of a situation, but with a thinner top. Now, what this does is that this shape allows you to hold this mouse like you would an ergo mouse, but have it be flat. Traditionally, I have a very tilted grip because I prefer ergo mice because I'm really big hands. So I have an ergo claw grip that's tilted. That's what I find to be most comfortable, and that's how I grip pretty much all of my ergo mice. Now, what I found out is that I can actually use the exact same grip that I use on my Death Adder V3 on this mouse, and it feels pretty much 1-for-1, which is really impressive. I'll have to go into a lot more detail of how this shape actually compares against other mice in the market and how it feels compared to ergos. But from my basic experience with it, just trying out for a little bit, I'm actually really impressed with the shape. Traditionally, the only way I can use symmetrical mice is if they're like gigantic, like the HyperX Pulsefire Haze 2, or like the X2 V2 Medium, or the X2H Medium, or like the original Keychron M3. They have to be very big for me to hold them properly because I have to make proper palm contact. But due to the ergonomic flare out of the base of the NP-01s, I'm actually able to make contact with the mouse with the base of my thumb and the base of my hand here. So kind of this section here, kind of in a circle, instead of contact with my palm. So it's a really interesting shape. It feels really good in my hand. I'm actually very happy with it. Of course, we'll have to see how it fares in terms of like strain and using it over long periods of time compared to an ergo, which I'll cover in my full review. But just based off of first impressions, I'm really impressed with the shape. It's a really cool, unique shape I haven't tried before. So I'm really excited to try this out and see how it feels over long term. Alrighty, now in terms of the mouse's clicks and buttons and that kind of stuff, as I mentioned before, I don't know 100% what they are. They feel very similar, at least in the main clicks, to the 10mm Wano on my VAXEE OUTSET AX. So I'm going to assume it's something similar to those, but I don't know for sure. I'll go over the actual spec in the full review, but for now, I'll just kind of give you base impressions. They're really nice, really responsive. They have a great tactile feel to them. The buttons themselves are incredibly well attentioned. They just feel very solid. The side buttons also feel really good. They feel very similar to the main clicks. I would probably say a 1-for-1, but I have a feeling they're probably a slightly different switch I've seen on previous mice, but so far so good. Now, another really cool thing I wanted to mention is that the scroll wheel has vastly improved. Now, VAXEE definitely used to use those meat grinder scroll wheels, because I remember the scroll wheel on my VAXEE OUTSET AX was very loud. This one's pretty much completely silent, which is nice to see. The main click actually feels pretty good, and the scroll of the actual wheel is very good. I would say about a medium to high actuation, but it has a very high tactile hump for whenever you go over a scroll point. But overall, the actual feel of this mouse is really good. Again, I don't know 100% what the switches are. I will definitely go over that in my full review once I got a chance to take the mouse apart. Alrighty, now speaking of buttons, we'd be amiss to not talk about the base buttons on the NP-01s. So on the NP-01s, similar in all VAXEE style, there is the onboard control. So there is a toggle to turn the mouse on and off, which you will be using a lot to actually set profiles, but I'll cover a little bit of that more later. Now there is a DPI toggle button, which is corresponding LED levels. There is a report rate button of 125, 500, and 1000 hertz. And then there is also a debounce button on the bottom, which you can adjust on the fly. We'll have 2, 4, and 8 ms debounce. Now you can change LOD, the actual report rate of the mouse, the DPI levels, all that stuff. You can also change to competitive modes, turn motion sync on and off. There's a lot of stuff you can do in this mouse, but it's all done via button combinations on the bottom. It's definitely a bit of a learning curve to learn how to use the mouse because it's a lot of turning the mouse on, turning the mouse back on again, and then hitting a certain button. It's very confusing at first, but once you get used to it, it is pretty straightforward. I'll go into a lot more detail in the full review already. Now, one other thing I wanted to talk about is the cable. Now, there are two very interesting things about this cable. The first of them, there is a bit of a tilt in the USB-C end of this cable like we saw on the Pulsar mice, but the really cool thing about this cable is this kind of pronged end here you see on the USB-C side. So VAXEE designed this to basically make it harder for the cable to come out of the mouse. Now, this little double prong thing does work on the mouse itself and the USB A to C adapter we see on the table. So it's a nice little cool thing. It definitely does increase the amount of force required to take out the cable. It's not like a super groundbreaking thing, but it is a nice attention to detail. And of course, it does require a lot more force to actually take the cable as opposed to just a standard USB-C cable. So it's a cool attention to detail. Again, not the most groundbreaking thing, but it is something nice to see from VAXEE. Alrighty, well that is everything for the unboxing of the VAXEE NP-01s. I am very excited to main this mouse for a little while and use it because it's been a while since I've actually mained a VAXEE mouse. So I'm very excited to see how this goes, and I'm interested to see if this mouse can live up to the insane potential that was set by my OUTSET AX, because the OUTSET AX was my main mouse for a lot of my pro days in Splitgate. That was like my go-to mouse. So it'll be interesting to see how it fares compared to that, and if this shape can actually trade blows with my ergos. But yeah, we'll see how it performs over testing. Stay tuned for a full in-depth review coming in a couple weeks. I'll be doing a full teardown of this mouse. I'll be doing a lot more in-depth testing on everything on this mouse. So stay tuned for that coming out in a couple weeks. So I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you very much. Thank you again to VAXEE for being so kind and sending us out for review. That is greatly appreciated. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.